Medical negligence claims in South Africa have risen by 23% since 2014. These are the medico-legal claims based on medical negligence or malpractice in the health sector. In the last financial year, there were over 6 billion rand worth of claims that were awarded. These claims are instituted for a number of reasons, and let's get into those reasons. We're joined by Dr. Larisse Prinsen from the University of Free State. Dr. Prinsen, thank you very much for availing yourself this afternoon. This is quite a very healthy sum of money. What's going on?
Just a little, just money. We have in the last, I want to say almost more than 2 decades, there has been a sharp, dramatic increase in claims being instituted on medico-legal grounds. So meaning, a claim where you have a medical matter at hand. Many of them because of mistakes being made in the medical sphere as a whole, which is quite scary.
What kind of cases are being brought before the courts, especially when it comes to mistakes that are being made in the medical field?
Well, if you look at the research, it seems that cerebral palsy related claims are in the majority. Cerebral palsy is normally related to a brain injury. Most often we're seeing this with issues of birth, where there's misdiagnosis or mistreatment, or where we have medical issues occurring during birth, which then leads to brain damage. Further beyond that, with cerebral palsy related cases, there are various cases of misdiagnosis or delayed treatment, many related to stillbirth. And because of these incidences, people are claiming or claiming damages for this.
Is this happening in the public or private sector, or a mixture of both?
Oh, it's predominantly in the public sector that we're seeing this, but in the private sector you have almost the opposite effect of this, where doctors are starting to practice defensive medicine, where because of this fear of medico-legal claims or against them, doctors are starting to diagnose and treat defensively. But we're seeing a lot of this in the public sector, unfortunately. And because it's public sector, this money, when it's claimed, is taken from the national health budget, which should, money that should be spent on other issues.
What does it mean when doctors diagnose or treat defensively?
It means that, an example that I can give you that we're seeing quite a lot is that doctors are more and more moving away from performing cesareans or C-sections because it's more expensive, and then so doctors are trying to kind of funnel birth into live births, but live births are also very risky. So doctors are trying to defend, or it's become more expensive to do C-sections, and it's not always indicated to do cesarean. So we're seeing where doctors are making decisions based on the risk involved, much more financial risk.
Sure. Just going back to the topic of the day, so that maladministration or mismanagement is effectively costing the everyday South African in terms of these claims that are paid out?
Indeed, it is. If you look at maladministration, it bleeds into everything else. So if you look at a hospital where there is not medication being provided to patients, then that could lead to medical claims. If equipment is not being properly maintained or updated or replaced when it is broken, then all of these things contribute to a poor medical experience, if you will. And all of these things then in turn contribute to medical claims being on the rise.
Sure. I found this quite fascinating also. So the research points to the legal profession also being identified as a contributor to the rise in claims, and that is possibly linked to the Road Accident Fund paying less claims.
Yes, indeed. So previously there were legal practitioners who built practices on RAF claims, and when the Road Accident Fund was amended, certain caps were placed on the amount of money that would pay out with these claims, meaning that legal practitioners had to find different ways of generating revenue. So this then in turn led to practitioners exploring different avenues of personal injury law, and that then also meant that lawyers were now more actively targeting persons who might have suffered harm, So more and more people became aware of their rights to litigate and became more litigious. And then also the Contingency Fee Act has made a big contribution to the rise.
On the rise in legal claims, right, because of medical negligence, what's then the conclusion that we draw from that? Is it because we don't have healthcare professionals that are on par? And that is confusing because when you take a look at the training that medical doctors, especially in South Africa, go through, it's quite rigorous, right? So what is it? Is because the sector is not capacitated?
It's this is a very complex issue and there's no single cause. There are many contributing issues here. We have obviously the most obvious one that people would like to think is the only issue is subpar medical practitioners, which is not necessarily the truth. Of course, there are individuals who do make mistakes, but also it's difficult to be the best doctor you can and to provide the best service when the resources aren't there. If you do not have the equipment that you need, the medication that you need, if you are overworked because hospitals are understaffed, we have administrative issues with actually the running of hospitals where you look at more research. The legal profession is to blame as well. And then also, patients have become more aware of their rights, and there's been a move towards a more patient-centered approach in medicine. Previously, you would have a more kind of a situation where the doctor would tell you what was going to happen, and you'd say, okay, and now patients are more aware of their rights, and they're less inclined to tolerate mistakes made by the medical profession. So all of these little things contribute. Also, there's not enough or a proper system to deal with complaints, so people automatically go to court. They don't think that different avenues that they can follow for redress.
What are the different avenues, though, you can follow, especially if it's life-threatening or if you lost an arm because of negligence?
One of the more popular movements, if I can call it that, that's come to light is to follow alternative dispute resolution, so mediation or negotiation or arbitration that you can then follow to also get a settlement without then it having to be litigated. Or then to complain properly to the HPCSA, because often people don't feel that anything will come of their complaints, so they don't complain. It's like when you've been, if you've been the victim of theft, and you feel, well, the police aren't going to do anything about it in any case, so, we'll just leave it. So people should follow the channels that already exist to try and help them and deal with complaints. Report negligence to the HPCSA so that they can investigate. Rather than directly running to court.
Oh, Dr. Prinsen, thank you very much for availing yourself this afternoon. Dr. Larisse Prinsen is with the University of the Free State.